Hello everybody, welcome to Two Mice on My Bookshelf, where I talk about mainly fountain pens. But between September and February or thereabouts, I found myself talking planners, specifically Hobonichi, which is the only planner system I am currently using since 2020. I made my first purchase at the end of 2019. And I haven't really looked back. Before then, I used to plan on scrapes of papers, just haphazardly writing down all sorts of things on a one big wall, monthly planners that I scribble things on, and sometimes just retaining things in my head, which is not sustainable. I've spoken a great deal about that in a different video, which I will link up here or at the end of this video, or you can do a search on my channel and it's there. And so in this video, I would like to talk about a few things. First, why Hobonichi? Second, the Hobonichi ritual. Third, what is effectively is an anti-haul of 2023 Hobonichi that I didn't quite manage to convert it into a YouTube content because 2023 and 2022 had been quite a difficult couple of years for me in ways that I have yet am able to verbally express or describe why that is. All I know is that it's been pretty stressful. So if this is your first video from me, I've mentioned a few times that in 2020 April, my mom went into an emergency quadruple bypass surgery, and that triggered sort of a domino effect for both my mom and myself and both of our households involving a three-way move and the removal of most of my belongings into a storage space, which they're still currently locked in that same storage space. I haven't been able to touch them, see them, go through it since. So it's been over 2 years now, going into 3 years. In that is my book collection, my record collection, and all sorts. Fortunately, I have managed to move all of my fountain pen collection because they are small. Technically, I could put them in bins and they're here, so I can continue producing content for that. But the book collection is on hold, and our planner collection speaking planners, is currently evolving, shall we say. And it is evolving not so much because of space, but it's related to disruption of a living space, as well as my mom being ill forced me into digital planning, which I am not completely happy with, but I feel like I'm stuck with. And so I'm kind of in this limbo in 2023 and 2022, where at the end of 2022, I was still buying, I was still doing a Hobonichi haul for Hobonichi 2023. I'll link that video up here as well, or the end of this video, or you can do a search, haul 2023. And by then, for the duration of 2022, I've already noticed that my planning behavior have been forced to change. The change in my planning behavior was forced by circumstance into more digital planning. So I kind of knew, even in buying my Hobonichi 2023, that I was less focused. I was just buying because it was a habit, because it gave me respite from the stressful living circumstances at the time. And that's when I want to talk about how the ritual of it, the unboxing, the launch, the picking of it, to going through other people's collections, to going through other people's rationale in terms of why they bought this and why they didn't, in terms of just looking voyeuristically almost, in terms of what people like and what I like, which is different, and why they're so different, whether they have the same taste as you, all that recreational activities attached to the ritual of Hobonichi launch, Hobonichi unboxing, and the stationery sort of planning sort of season in September. I'm assuming it's September because it coincided with terms starting in the fall. And is that a North American thing? I'm not sure. When I was a grad student at Columbia University in New York City, I know term starts in September. And I believe in other countries, they start in the middle, June, July, at least for high school. I was living in Indonesia. I can't remember how that goes I don't know how it is now over there, but it used to start mid-year. I still remember in the 70s, a term starts in the beginning of the year and then they shifted it to the middle of the year, causing a lot of us to spend an extra 6 months in one class, in one level. In New Zealand, I believe term starts in February. And I believe in Japan, it starts in April. That's why you have the April edition of the techo. So anyway, so let me start with the ritual. I do miss it, the opening of the box and all that. And in 2023, so let me backtrack a little bit. So because I bought everything in 2022 without much direction, not knowing whether I was going to plan, the only one thing that was committed and was fixed was this. I have one more year. I have a 5-year techo that I was pairing with these techos as memory keepers. 2020, 2021, 22, 23, 24. 5-year techo. So I committed myself doing memory keeping in these A6 techos until 2024, and this is the last one. So as a last one, I bought this in Loft, the shopping center in Tokyo, in Shibuya, and I have not seen the Hobonichi 2024 website, so I didn't know what's available. I didn't browse, nothing. I didn't have any plan. My only plan was to go there to have a look at what's there and bought one A6 and 1 weeks, and that's what I did. So I bought these two from Shibuya Loft, and to celebrate the last of the 5-year stretch for the 2024, I was conflicted. I thought, should I get this one so that it's all uniformed? And I really, really like the style of this one. I believe this was created or designed by Arts and Science, which also designed this and a variety of different Hobonichi items, or whether I want something different. And I really wanted something different. I was getting a bit sick of 4 years of that, so I thought, why not? And it's just so much fun. I love the texture. This is the bow tie or the tie material. I can never remember what you call it. That usually is only available on the weeks. And I quite like this because the patterns are quite big, as I mentioned in a different video. That's really big. You could see clearly what they are, and they're varied enough. So in one page, you have this, that, and that, and they're really varied. So instead of looking like a uniformed random pattern, it looks more like almost like a story. This is the one piece, which story is I'm unfamiliar with, but I have bought from Hobonichi a variety of different one-piece themed products because I love the aesthetics of comic book aesthetic, the color, sometimes the sketches. So this one is definitely an aesthetic choice. So I bought that in 1 week. Again, this one is what stood out for me on the shelf. It was a little bit disappointing because I didn't actually see a lot of choices. By the time I get to Loft in Shibuya, by the time my husband and I ended up in Tokyo, it's already November, end of October, early November. I timed it so that I can attend the Tokyo International Pen Show as in early November, and I have a medical needs in Singapore, which I timed at the mid to end of October. And so by then, the stationery season is already 2 months on. And so I suspect what I have in front of me at Loft Shibuya was probably what's left. And when I look at the Hobonichi 2023 website, there's so many that I would have bought, I think, just because they're pretty. But because I did not even go and have a look at the Hobonichi 2023, because all of 2022, I knew the need is evolving. And so this is all I bought. And so now that I look at the 2024 website, I thought, oh, there's all these lovely stuff. For example, the A5 Hond. I saw that one with the plant, with the vintage antique sketches of botanicals. I saw that in is it in the A5 or is it in a notebook? And I really, really wanted to buy it. And I decided not to because I have enough notebooks, as you've seen in my other video. And by then I've decided that I can't do the cousin, the A6 here, the original, and the weeks. In the past, it's been shown to be way too much. I stress myself out in terms of not using them, in terms of already spending money on the books, but not using them, all the rest of it. And so these are two, and that's it. That's all I needed, really. That was all I needed in 2024. And this is probably filled at half capacity in 2024. Now let's go back at the year after I did my last haul, which was at the end of 2022 for Hobonichi 2023. This is only used maybe half capacity. No, less. I flipped through it. You have to take my word for it because I flipped through it. There's a lot of personal information that I can't. It takes too much time to remove or censor them all. This is probably only a quarter to a third capacity filled. And mainly the activity centered when I was traveling in Japan, Singapore, and Australia at the end of the year. Everything else in 2022 is done digitally. Again, I'm not happy with digital planning. And I'll make a video of the pitfalls of digital planning, which I can't seem to bridge in a different video. One example is having a view of everything in front of me, and I'm kind of a visual, physical person. And for example, just quick example, I'll do a video focusing more on it. I was in the doctor and I needed to tell him when my next specialist appointment was. I did a search on my digital planner under the name of the doctor and didn't pop up. So I can't remember, and I have to have a system where the search digitally will work. So for example, name of the doctor or name of the location or name of the nature of the specialist, whether it's a kidney specialist, whether it's a lung specialist, because sometimes I don't remember the name of the doctors because they're new to me, for example, but I remember that they're a lung specialist. So do I key in on my digital planner lungs or do I key in their names? So I looked under both. He's a rheumatologist, so I put rheumatologist, and his name in, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And so I can't relate to my GP when my next appointment is going to be. If I had had this, I could have flipped through. I knew it was going to happen that month. I could go to that month, go to the monthly section. Hold on a second. I'm going to look for one that is. I could go to the month and I could eyeball it. And whatever I put, whether it's under the nature of their specialty or whether it's their name, I would be able to identify that appointment from the simple presence of a scribble on a piece of paper. And that frustrates me to no end with digital planning. And I'm really determined to move back to paper planning. And so I did that effort here and it's kind of working. This is at a third to a quarter capacity. This was used in half capacity because I have yet had the mental space, not necessarily the time, but the mental space to decide how am I going to negotiate both the digital planning and the paper planning. The second reason is because the digital planning was there to share with other people. My husband, my mother's husband, and my siblings. And so with mom returning to normal life after her very long rehab, I no longer need to share all the details of her appointments and her circumstance and health management with everyone, but I do need to share it with her and her husband. Sadly, they're on Android, I'm on an Apple, and so I can't share with them anyway. So the one reason why I ended up in digital planning is now gone. The only one is to share with my husband. So that is the only reason. And so I am hoping that slowly as things go back to normal again, as if they could, because they really can't, I am going to probably half capacity, a third capacity here, half capacity here, and hopefully in 2025, I'll be back in my weeks at full capacity. So this ends here with the memory keeping. I've struggled with the space, as I've mentioned before. I'll link that video up here or at the end of this video. While this was probably going at maybe half capacity to maybe 75%, I am hardly touching this. There's a whole stack of backlog of little tickets to French film festivals or to some movies that we watched, and hardly anything is going on in 2024. 2024 is filled with my role as the oldest child, stepping into a variety of different administrative affairs for my mom who's getting older. And whether the quadruple bypass was just a huge surgical procedure, whether that has slowed her down a little bit, I'm not sure. Whether it's just a function of time and she's now getting older, I'm not sure. But a lot of my focus, my time, my mental space are filled with managing her well-being, administratively mainly. And it's like I'm a project manager for her health management and her estate almost. And so that, I mean, and the move to this place, which is a temporary measure that wasn't directly our choice, but it was an implication of a much bigger major life event, which is my mom's health, has really just changed like this desk. I've only managed to get a desk like this to sit on, to write on, a few months ago in 2024. So for almost 2 years, I live in this place without a desk. I have a picnic desk that is foldable, and it's very unstable. So when I used to work, I used to have to work from home sometimes. I used to sit my laptop on it, but it's near the kitchen. I have no privacy. It's always noisy. If my husband's in the kitchen, I can't. For me, working near the kitchen is the best because coffee's right there. I drink coffee incessantly. And also in the summer, it's a lot cooler down there than it is up here. But my point is that it's very unsettled, the fact that I don't even have a desk to sit on. So, so that's 2024 and that's 2023. It's really tapering off, just really tapering off. And I think you have to, give yourself a break or cut yourself some slack if you find yourself buying things you don't really need, because it took me a whole year to 2 years to taper off into the new habit. Like in 2022, at the end of 2022, I knew I may not need as many Hobonichi planners and notebooks and journals and whatever, but I was still buying them. And only after really experiencing the lack of use in 2023, and if you see my the weeks that I never get to use, again, video up here or at the end of this video, it really became quite, it depends on how you think as well, I suppose. The way I need a lot of that sensation, that visual, physical, visceral sensation of not regret, but realizing that this is an absolute waste. And that happened, as I suspected, in 2023. And that's why in 2023, I did not even go to Hobonichi website. I so happened I was in Asia, and so I just bought this. So that's the anti-haul, is I didn't buy anything, nothing, not one, but these two. What I missed though, I didn't miss it until I realized I missed it. This year, I started looking at what people bought last year. Because the order for 2025 hasn't arrived yet, and people are starting to review their purchases for 2023, and the boxes that I missed, the free gift that I missed, the pens that I missed. And I've kind of felt a little bit envious of people who managed to get all the 2024 Hobonichi from the launch in September 2023, the color of the boxes and all that. And I'm feeling kind of missing out. And on hindsight, the experience was much better when I bought direct from Hobonichi in Japan while I'm in New Zealand and paying all that extra price and all that. The choices are a little bit vast, a lot more, the free gifts and the boxes, and the feeling of being part of a whole season of something is quite rewarding. And so I have memory of these two, but not a particularly relaxing one, because it was our last day in Japan and it was a bit of a rush and I was exhausted. My husband was exhausted. And so that's what I remember when I look at this. And blue is not particularly my favorite color, but I quite like this. I believe the artist of this one is producing some more illustration in the form of covers. But I don't like them because there's a lot of blue and red. And as I said, it's not quite my favorite color. I prefer the other artists, which I found myself drawn to again and again. Every time I saw a design, it's always by that particular artist. So I bought a lot from that one. I can't remember the name. I might try to put it down below. But I know her cover is a big hit, and I think a lot of people are buying her cover. So it's, if you see the cat here, I think you'll know what I'm talking about. And I love this sort of cloth embroidered feel of the cover from Hobonichi. The other one I like is, I think I've mentioned, is that canvas texture. And this is the one that I least like, this glossy one. And so this is my only Moomin directly from Hobonichi. Actually, I have to purchase this from someone in Japan because it's not available to international buyer. And I don't think I will buy a Moomin this year because I've already bought 2 weeks and I don't believe I need any more than that. Otherwise, I'll be repeating the waste that I did by extra purchasing because they're so cute. And so why Hobonichi? There are a few things why Hobonichi. The paper is the main reason for me. And so I'm very nervous about their Tomoe River paper that is a new batch, because I think in the back of my mind, I was hoarding the old batch of Tomoe River paper because I know that they were going to change production. The old factory had became bankrupt and out of business, and another factory was taking it over. But I think they have changed the formula. And so I think in the back of my mind, I was really hoarding that paper, the old Tomoe River paper, just in case I don't like the new one. I can't remember if the new batch started in 2024 or 2025. So sadly, in 2024, I've stopped playing with fountain pens a lot. As I said, there's very unsettled. So I'm going to start, now that I'm feeling a bit more settled, I'm going to start scribbling on this, and I'm going to do a test and see how the new one works. So yeah, so that's just quickly shared what could have been an anti-haul for 2023. And the process of tapering over the course of all of 2023 with all the wastage, because I was still keeping the habit of buying Hobonichi at the end of a year that I already knew my planning behavior was evolving. It resulted in only the use of these two for 2023, while a bit of a waste in terms of the other planners I bought for 2023. And why I'm still with Hobonichi, it's the paper, the system, the binding, and the design, really. And so paper is a big deal with the fountain pen, and that's probably why I also do not put a lot of stickers on it, because the real estate of the paper is so precious to me that if I cover it up with stickers, you lose that real estate. But the quality of the paper is very much tied to my fountain pen hobbies, so the use of fountain pens. Otherwise, any paper will do. The binding is stitch binding, so you could open it up and you don't have to fight with it, with the book having to stay open, as well as not having to worry about pages becoming loose. The system and the printing as in the inside, there's something about Hobonichi where for some reason the way they print doesn't attack my eyes. And I'm not saying that facetiously, or as a shade to others with slightly more stark printing. But I try to move to other, like Jibun Techo, for example. The printing just it feels like I'm being attacked sort of visually. I'm literally feeling quite, like my eyeball felt quite uncomfortable. And so the only person or the only people who managed to do it this way so far is Hobonichi. It just feels like the printing is, and I've spoken about this many times in the past, that it's, so I might do another video just focusing on that. Why Hobonichi for me? The system is just perfect. And what I'll do is, because there's a lot of stuff in it, what I'll do is when the 2025 arrived, I'll do another Why Hobonichi using the new books, just to show you, so I can freely go back and forth in a way that I'm not with these ones, because it's all filled. Remember to give the subscribe and the bell and the likes. It will help me out a lot. And I want to talk about why this is not a very good quality leather. And I'm going to contrast it with the Yokohama from Ateliers Felias. And yes, the difference in prices, but why for some of us who are living outside of the United States, who ended up having to pay a lot of money for something like this anyway, that this is simply not worth it. Because you're paying a lot of money for this, you might as well pay a lot of money for something better, even though the difference is about 30%. So I'll talk to you then. Bye.